Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video and another plug side chat. I'm definitely not going to have any ability to edit this video, so I'm going to try to do it as well as I can in one take. But this is I think I'll just make this the last one, at least for now, in the series of keys to electric vehicle adoption, because while I did select for the focus group a longer battery range as my number one suggestion for how you could improve electric vehicle adoption, given the categories that they had provided. But that's not my first choice, and my first choice is actually it's very simple, yet in some ways it's very complicated. And I think though when you hear me explain it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. So my number one method or suggestion for improving electric vehicle adoption is simply put to make compelling electric vehicles. That's it. So here's the thing, right? You see what Tesla does. People actually want Tesla vehicles. So they succeeded on that front. What did they do? They made compelling electric vehicles. They still have many, if not most, of the weaknesses that some of the other electric vehicles have. Um, you still have to build your long distance travel around charging stops. They still don't refuel very fast. Uh, their range isn't amazing. Uh, they're expensive. They're a bit on the heavy side. Um, Portly, but overall though they're compelling, right? They create a package of technology. They have decent performance, at least in the realm of street driving, right? So so they're compelling. People want them on their own. It wouldn't matter whether they're electric or internal combustion vehicles, people would want them. And I think that's the ingredient that's missing for most of the electric vehicles that are out there. Now, everybody likes to point to range and they like to point to refueling times because those are really the only two major advantages internal combustion vehicles have. Now, as electric vehicle owners, most of us understand that neither of those are really big factors at all, right? 80% to 90% of your charging uh, is going to take effectively none of your time because it's either going to happen at home or it's going to happen at a location where you are going to spend that amount of time anyway, right? So very little of your time is actually spent charging. So easily say 80 to 90% of your time, the refueling time, the time it takes to recharge isn't a factor. And when it comes to range, well, we know that 80% of the commutes in the United States are 40 miles or under. So 80% of the time, the range doesn't matter. So we already know that those are sort of non-factors, but they're the ones that electric vehicles have to answer to because, well, frankly, internal combustion engines don't. The range for an internal combustion engine vehicle, unless it's pathetically low, right? Say less than 100, 150 miles, it's not even worth noting, right? Uh, People complained like Evo owners. I knew this myself when I had was running my um, Mitsubishi Lancer Evo on E85. A full tank of gas, if I was lucky, would get me about 180 miles. And there were some really anxious times when that was happening. So unless the internal combustion engine vehicle has a really poor range, it's not an issue. And that means that for most vehicles, right? What is it? The average for internal combustion engine vehicles, 400, almost 500 miles at this point. So they don't have to answer to that. Refueling time. Pull up to a gas pump, you're pumping 100 miles worth of range into your tank. Not an issue for them. So they don't have to answer that. So what do they have to do? Well, in order for manufacturers to sell their internal combustion engine vehicles, they have to make them compelling, right? They have to provide certain luxury items. They have to make the styling desirable. They have to make the performance notable, right? They have to do all of these other things to make that electric or make that vehicle notable and compelling. And that's how they sell them, right? Yes, there's a segment of new cars that are sold solely for the purpose that they're cheap. That Mitsubishi Mirage is a perfect example of it. Some people just want a $10,000 to $15,000 gas car, even if it sucks. Why? Because it's better than walking. And so yes, so even price can play a role in what it means to be compelling, but this kind of actually ties into why I got the Bolt EV. In my opinion, and of course, what makes a vehicle compelling is purely opinion. But in my opinion, the Bolt EV is the most compelling non-Tesla electric vehicle available. By far, it's not even close. And part of the reason for that is you get to focus on its aspects because the range is what it is. For most people, they will never drive 200 to 250 miles in a day. It just doesn't happen for them. So the fact that the Bolt EV can handle all of their driving, then they get to stop and say, wait a minute. So it handles all of my driving, and I can load a boatload of cargo. I can hold 5 adults. It's torquey. It accelerates faster than a vast majority of the vehicles on the road. Someone comes up in their unhinged diesel pickup truck and they try and coal roll a Prius. Good luck, Prius. I don't think you're getting out of the way. The Bolt EV, you're going to be smelling our non-existent tailpipe, right? You're just not. It's a compelling vehicle in and of itself. And so if you really want to start selling electric vehicles, start making them compelling, whatever you have to do, right? And this is why I'm a little bit worried that, okay, so Hyundai is coming out with the Kona EV. Great. Nissan is trying to up the Leaf stats to be similar to the Bolt EVs. Great. Okay, so now we have three compelling electric vehicles all in the same class. Okay, well, what happened to the Roadster? What happened to the Coupe? What happened to the sedan? What happened to the 4x4 off-road? What happened to the pickup truck? What happened to the van, right? One of the things that I think VW is doing right is you look at their concepts, right? And all of these concepts are compelling vehicles. You're bringing back the van again? Come on. I mean, so you have these opportunities, and this is something that it's very simple for any of these manufacturers to do. Just make compelling vehicles that happen to be electric, and you will sell a lot more electric vehicles, a lot more. And not only that, those compelling vehicles also tend to have higher price tags and they tend to have higher profit margins. Enough so that you're probably compensating for the expense of creating them as an electric vehicle in the first place. So anyway, that's my take on it. This I put a reservation in on a Bollinger B1. Why? Because it's a compelling electric vehicle. I want a 4x4 utility pickup truck. It's the only thing that's even close to being on the market in that regard, right? So it's why I've been saying for a long time now, GM needs to build a 350-mile Malibu EV. Why? a 5-person sedan with an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack and 180 to 200 kilowatts of power, even if it's a front wheel drive, you're going to sell more of them than you can make. Why? Because people like those sedans. They like those family sedans. And if you make it with 300 plus miles of range, all of a sudden the range isn't the issue anymore. And now it's just the merits of the car. So anyway, that's my take on it. I'm here on my trip up to parts unknown, charging in a series just south of Modesto. Ran into a bit of a heavy headwind, just FYI, in case you guys want to know. We have a leaf over there. I was gonna charge at a different station, and the leaf was taking up the combo charger instead of using the CHAdeMO only. Don't do that. But otherwise, trip's going well. About 6 hours into it now, and over 300 miles. So maintaining a pretty decent clip, and almost done with this recharge. But I got to head out into more of a headwind. So I'll catch you guys up on what all of that's about in another video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Like I said, maybe it seems cheap and people just say, well, duh, yeah, make compelling electric vehicles. But I think that's the key, because frankly, I think a lot of the vehicles, EVs that manufacturers are making right now, they're just not compelling. So if they were, I think they'd sell more. I think we'd see a lot more on the road. Anyway, well, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you on the road.